Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Married at First Sight. But before we begin, I would like for everyone to check out my website, lavidarosastyle.com, where you can find cute accessories like the ones I'm wearing right now. These Rubik's Cubes earrings that they really work like Rubik's Cubes. So yes, check this out on my website, link down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this video. So y'all, I know I've been MIA for the past couple weeks. Life has been overwhelming for your girl, and this show, I didn't need for it to drain out the little bit of energy I had left. So I know I'm super late, but I'm back. And I just have to say that this show is leaving me more and more disturbed every single week. Like, just some of the things that goes down. I feel like this has officially turned into every other reality TV show where they are doing things to enhance the drama, matching people that should not be matched, and not stepping in when the situation becomes toxic. I mean, these are grown people, these are adults, and if they choose to stay together, there's not much you could do there. But some of the behavior on this show should be reprimanded. They definitely should have been reprimanded when meeting up with the experts, because isn't that usually what happens? I remember a few seasons ago when Matt and Amber, I forgot what season that was, I'll put that picture here, when Matt was acting a fool with Amber and not coming home, I remember Pastor Cal going in on him and like not accepting his weak responses and like actually like, you know, laying down the law. And I just did not get any of that from last week's episode. And y'all might be like, well, you're taking this too seriously because it's just a reality TV show anyway. As someone who has watched this show from the beginning, this show did not start off like that. It actually had integrity in the beginning, and it was more so like a social experiment of people who volunteered to participate in arranged marriage, and it was shot in more of a documentary style, and they were actually choosing people who would probably be a good match, at least on paper. Just a totally different feel. I feel like the tides definitely turned when the show went from FYI to Lifetime. That's when it started to be a little bit more sensationalized, definitely. And maybe I'll talk more about this another time because I'm like really going on a rant here. Another thing I really hate about this season, the people from this show have been so reckless on social media that it's almost impossible to avoid spoilers at this point. And it's kind of like another way that they are ruining the show, because some of us really like to watch the show without spoilers. It's been impossible for me to avoid it because I review the show, people tag me and everything, send it to my DMs, and this season has been the worst about spoilers. I did give a poll on my community tab and I asked you guys if you would like for me to add spoilers. I will be giving spoilers at the end, but the review itself will be spoiler free, so do not worry. If you don't want to hear the spoilers, I will not include them in the review. When I do give the spoilers, I will give a big announcement. I'll tell you to cut the video off, and if you continue to watch, that is your own fault, okay? Please do not comment on the spoilers down below. I will go live and we could talk about the spoilers there, but I don't want you to spoil it for anyone in the comments. So with all of that being said, let's get into this review. So I'm going to start with Jose and Rachel because there's not much to say about them. They've been coasting. So last week when Jose met with Dr. Pepper, she did tell him that he has controlling tendencies and his way isn't always the best way, and to, listen to Rachel or whatever. I was looking for him to be reprimanded for locking his wife out of his house, because I feel like that is completely unacceptable and something that should be called out and made known to the public. Like, we do not condone this behavior. But maybe that's just too much to ask from this show now. He always tries to make himself the victim and make her the problem. So he made sure to say that, he's worried that whenever times get hard, she's going to try to leave. And it's like, how can she stay when you lock her out of the house? Rachel, please do not move in with him. Your clothes will be out front, okay? Hopefully he doesn't burn them or bleach them. Okay, please do not move in with this man. And Rachel still feels like this is the man for her. for whatever reason. And she claims that instead of tiptoeing around him, now she calls him out for things that she doesn't agree with. And girl, okay, but I feel like he's already shown his true colors, and it is what it is. I personally feel like they should break up and say no on decision day, but that's my opinion. Let's move on to Brett and Ryan. Please just leave each other alone. Please just break up, please. Why keep beating this dead horse? So when they met up with the experts, she's told them that she would want to keep trying if he actually put in the effort. And she also says that they don't talk about anything, but I feel like that's on both of you. And pretty much that's my only thing with Brett. I feel like she is a sweet woman. I feel like she has a beautiful spirit, and just I feel like she would make a great wife. The only things that need to be addressed is the fact that she will not address major issues when they come along. I feel like you need to, when you have a problem, you need to address it right then and there. And two, the cleanliness. I don't know anybody that is going to want to live with someone that bathroom and closet is that junky, okay? That's something you're going to have to work on. Dr. Pepper was talking with Ryan. She asked him, when did you give up? And he basically said after the meeting with Dr. Viviana, he realized that, you know, I guess that he really didn't have any feelings for her. And yeah, both of them are just too weak to be honest with each other or confront each other. And I'm just like, what are y'all scared of? Y'all are married. Y'all are here now. I mean, I just wouldn't be living like this without having any sort of conversation about it. Brett went to meet up with his sister, and she told Brett that he most likely is stuck on someone else because they had a good time at the wedding, they had a good time on the honeymoon, and they were good when they came home for about a week, and then that's when he fell off. And so that's why the sister thinks that his attention is elsewhere. She know her brother. I'm actually very shocked that she was that honest with her, but I'm glad that she told Brett that she needed something, and getting some insight from his sister was, I feel like, was refreshing for her. On this episode, she actually told him about his sister's observation, and he got very defensive, and he feels like he shouldn't have to say things to her if his actions show it. And it's like, but like Brett said later on in the episode, you say one thing and your actions show another thing. And yes, actions speak louder than words, but if you constantly are basically lying to her, or being deceptive with your words, what do you expect? You're sending mixed signals. So later on, they go on the little retreat trip or whatever, and the entire group presented Brett with I believe it's like some bone shaped cookies in honor of her dog. It's like, wow, everyone else in the group is showing more love to Brett than her own husband, and that was embarrassing for him. I hope he felt really bad sitting there. Later on that night, they're talking to Johnny and Bao, and Johnny and Bao and Brett and Ryan are in similar places in their relationship. They're not sleeping in the same room, so they only have one extra room. And so Brett was like, well, Johnny, you could have the extra room because I'll just stay with Brett. Like, he just really thought that he was going to, you know, be able to say, oh, we just going to stay together, even though they haven't been staying together in their apartment. I was so happy that Brett put her foot down and said, no. Why do you think I would want to sleep with you here and we don't even sleep together in our apartment? This showed me that she is fed up, because Brett is someone that would normally go along with something like that. So later on, Brett confronts him about how his actions don't match his words. And this is where we found out that he never gave her a true reason as to why he wanted to sleep in separate bedrooms. He just, you know, gave little stupid reasons like, oh, my sleep is better. But he never actually said it out loud. And I'm just like, Brett, why have you not pressed him? And Ryan, why are you so weak that you can't be real and honest? You could tell everybody else, but you can't tell her. So in the most monotone and living dead way possible, emotionless, expressionless way possible, he is getting defensive and not wanting to have this conversation, basically. And she was like, well, see, you tell me to call you out, and when I do, this is how you act. And I was completely on her side because he completely shut down and wasn't trying to give her any answers. And still to this day, Wolf on the day of this episode has not been completely honest with not being attracted to her, and because that's it, and you know that's it, and you go around telling everybody else that, but you won't tell her that. Let's move on to Gil and Myrla. They're the only solid couple at this point, okay? He said that the only thing that could make him say no to Myrla on decision day is the fact that she has a Debbie Downer attitude. You know, I totally could understand that because that can be very draining. Now, Myrla met up with Dr. Pepper and she showed up drunk. And I don't know, I really thought that was very, very unprofessional. Like, and if I was Dr. Pepper, I would be a little bit insulted. Like, you knew you was coming here today. Why would you go out and get drunk before meeting with me? Like, it's like, do you take this seriously? Do you take me seriously? Do you think I'm a joke? Like, I don't know, I would have felt a way about that, but you know, they did have a pretty good meeting regardless. She was very emotional talking about Gil and basically said that he's more than she ever thought she could ever want in a man. And Dr. Pepper was basically like, you're going to lose him if you don't start reciprocating his behavior. He has pursued you above and beyond expectations, and now it's time to let those walls down. Actually, I think I said that. It's in my notes. She has this princess mentality that if she doesn't change, I just don't see it working out with Gil. So later on, they talk about her session with Dr. Pepper, and basically she says a lot of the reason why she's a Debbie Downer is because she's an introvert and she's feeling uncomfortable in like social situations. She like throws tantrums and gets moody, and that is not an appropriate way to handle that situation. You're an adult, you know what I'm saying? Constantly complaining, constantly saying, oh, I don't like this, oh, I'm uncomfortable, it's hot, and that is annoying. That is annoying. Everybody else could be feeling the same way you do, Myrla, but you don't always have to express it. You know what I'm saying? And you having a bad attitude could ruin everybody else's time. They gave each other some compromises. Like, I guess she wants him to make her laugh and kind of like cheer her up in the moment. And he wants her to become more affectionate and to not verbalize everything that she hates. And then on this episode, it was literally more of the same. Like, y'all just had this conversation, but then when they get to the cabin, all she does is complain about the cabin. Later on in the episode, they go horseback riding, and this is something completely out of Gil's comfort zone. He said he has a healthy fear of horses, meaning he was scared, but he did it for her because she likes to go horseback riding. And it seems like at the end, she didn't really appreciate it. And he called her out about that, because it's always like, I had fun, but, you know, she said that she appreciates the fact that he tells her when he has an issue with that so that she can work on it in the future. And I know it's not going to end overnight, but Myrla, I feel like you could be working a little bit harder on that, okay? Because it's getting old. It is. So let's move on to Bao and Johnny. So he met with Dr. Pepper, and she told him that he needs to learn how to deal with his anger and that his way isn't always the right way. Once again, I love that she said there is no truth in perspective. I love the fact that she said that, because that is so true. Your perspective is biased. Your perspective, that's why they always say it's his side, her side, and the truth. That's why it's so important to talk with your partner and to get a better understanding of their perspective, because your perspective is not the end all be all of the situation. And that is the way he acts. And then we see Bao meet up with Pastor Cal, and Bao at this point has completely checked out from Johnny. And I'm not mad at her at all. Like, she has put up with way more than she should have. And so with this whole situation with Johnny and Bao, it's like, I think it finally hit her that she has been experiencing some verbal abuse. I tried to avoid using that word, but when they replayed some of the stuff that he said, he's just been completely nasty and trying to tear her down purposefully. And he did it again this episode. We'll get to that. So then when they met up with each other, she stood up for herself against the verbal abuse. Like, I'm not going to take this anymore. I don't like the way you talk to me. And I'm not putting up with this any longer. And then I think she did ask him the question about, was he ready to get married? And he basically was saying, like, I was ready to get married to a stranger with no history whatsoever, a clean slate. And basically him being married to Bao, he knew it wasn't going to work because he hasn't been attracted to her in the past 15 years. So I'm like, Johnny, either you're lying now or you was lying episode 1 when y'all met each other and you said you was attracted to her, and when y'all were on the honeymoon and you were being all sheepish and shy, like, I like you, and you could barely get it out. So which one is it? Because you were acting head over heels at one point. And I just really cannot stand how once again he felt the need to take the knife and twist it and try to make her feel bad about herself, try to make her feel like she's unattractive or something, like she's unworthy of you. That's why I say Johnny gives me narcissistic tendencies, because he really has like this delusion of grandeur when it comes to her. Like, he's like so much more of a catch than she is. So in this episode, they go to the retreat. When he walked in, he was like, so what are we going to do about the rooms? If it were me, you would be outside in the grass. You wouldn't even be in the house. Like, I don't know. It's like when they first got out, I don't know what we're going to do about this room. Like Bao really was pressed to stay with you. She wasn't even pressed to be in the same bed with you. She was so quick to say no. He said his plan was to spend as little time as possible with her on the retreat. And I'm just like, so why did you show up? What was the point of coming? And she had a conversation with the women that was very eye-opening for her. I love that she realized that her parents' relationship influenced why she was okay with receiving verbal abuse from Johnny, because I said this a few weeks ago. Whenever she said that her dad was an alcoholic and he was a gambler, and you know, it was an embarrassment to her family because other people on the street didn't want their husbands and fathers associating with Bao's father because of his, you know, addiction, I knew right then and there Bao was putting up with Johnny because of what she saw in her household. She said that she devalued herself and allowed disrespect, and now she's putting her foot down. And I was so happy to hear that. Shout out to you, Bao, because a lot of people really have a hard time being self-aware, and I'm not trying to come down on anybody, but sometimes it's a hard thing to accept. And so the fact that you're not in denial about that, or that you see that and you're trying to break the cycle, I thought that was amazing and good for you. Whew. So let's go down this rocky road called Zach and Michaela. Y'all, I'm tired even thinking about it. I think I might need to take a break. What is going on here? So me personally, I feel like they both have a very unrealistic view of marriage. And I feel like neither one were ready for this experiment. I know people will disagree with me and say that Zach was. I don't think he was either. And we'll talk more about that later on. But before I begin with them, I don't want anyone to get it misconstrued that I am condoning Michaela's poor behavior this episode or any episode. I do think in certain instances I saw her point. I just think she overreacted. Don't take me agreeing with her at certain points as me condoning her wild behavior. I do not. Okay, let's make that very clear. So she meets up with Pastor Cal. She said that she just wants to see Zach be happy again like he was in the first. When they met on the wedding day, y'all didn't really get to spend that much time together, but okay, on the wedding day. But she thinks that she shouldn't be a source of happiness for her partner. And I'm like, what? See, that's one of the main things that made me say, oh, you don't have a realistic view of marriage. Of course you should be a source of happiness. You shouldn't be the source, the only source, but definitely you should be a source of happiness. What's the point of y'all being together? And Pastor Cal was like, yeah, you're not responsible for all of it, but you should definitely contribute. So yeah, that's a very selfish point of view. So when he meets up with Dr. Pepper, he finally realizes that he is a perfectionist and he judges his partners harshly the way that he judges himself, and basically is comparing them to the ideal woman, much like how Johnny does. And that's why I said a few weeks ago, him and Johnny and Ryan are more alike than I thought, because they all shared that same sentiment. And so when he came to that realization, he started to break down, and it really hurt my heart to see that, because I'm really not trying to be harsh on Zach. That is something that I observed, and so for him to come to that realization and admit it, I'm proud of him for seeing that about himself, because whenever he would talk about his past relationships, he would always put the blame on them. But you have to take some responsibility, even if it's taking responsibility for the fact that you chose those people and that you might have stuck around longer than you should have. Because if you do enter into a toxic relationship, you have to know when to leave. He just seems very, very insecure, and he has this perfectionist mindset that he can't even live up to, and it's like he doesn't really know what he wants. Like, that is the recurring theme that we see. It's like he doesn't know what he wants. He talks in circles, and he can't always give you a definite answer. I don't think he's necessarily being deceptive. I just think he's very flaky because he's not solid in who he is. And how can you make someone else feel secure with you in a relationship if you don't even feel secure with yourself? So later on, they have this argument because Zach said that he would say no on decision day. And I think, to be petty, Michaela came behind him and said that she would say no on decision day as well. He did say that he didn't see a future with her, and so I could understand why she would feel a way that he would say no on decision day, because that means you don't want to spend the rest of your life with me, and why are we doing this, right? Why are we even going through the motions of trying when this is how you feel? So after that conversation, she decided that she wants to sleep in separate bedrooms, which I thought was fine because they are not on the same page. So why should they have to sleep in the same bedroom? He gets upset because he doesn't want to sleep in the spare bedroom. And personally, this is the way I feel. I personally feel like Zach be wanting the nookie without the commitment, and she wasn't going for that. Because I've been trying to rack my brain to try to figure out what is going on with Zach. Why does he keep coming back to Michaela and all he does is complain? And I'm just thinking it gotta be what's going on in that bedroom. It gotta be. Because as soon as she said, no, we're gonna sleep in 2 separate bedrooms, he wanted to leave. But both of them are quick to leave when they can't get their way. Both of them do this. So Zach ended up leaving and staying at his place that night, and Michaela decided to pack up everything, including the seasonings, and move up out of their apartment. Okay. And so I guess they had a planned Zoom meeting with his brothers, and obviously she did not show up. I just feel like he doesn't always take accountability for his part in things. Like, he does, but he doesn't. You know why she didn't show up? Because you went home last night. Of course, why would she show up? She moved out. She's not going to show up. And then when I watched the Unfiltered episode, apparently she was having a mental breakdown. So you conveniently left that out too. And my thing is, hearing that she had a mental breakdown, I feel like all bets should have been off, and she should have been excused from this experiment. Because if you're having a mental breakdown, does that get resolved within a day? Because didn't they go on the trip like within at least a couple of days? Like, I don't even think Michaela should have been allowed to go on this trip after hearing that. So then we move on to this episode, which is them going on the retreat. And from what I've seen on Unfiltered, what Zach and Michaela do is something major will happen, and they will pretty much brush it up under the rug. They will get together, have a very surface level conversation without resolving things, but then show up and give a united front. So when they talk with everyone, it's all, yeah, we had our rough times, but now it's bunny, sunshine, and rainbows. And present themselves to be in a better place than they actually are. So later on, they have a private conversation, and apparently the night before, they came up with a bright idea that they should divorce, take a break, I'm guessing to work on themselves, and then come back together and see if something is there. Terrible idea to me. I feel like either y'all gonna stay together or y'all gonna break up. Y'all just stringing this along. It don't even make sense, okay? And I feel like clearly this is Zach's idea. And then they started talking about how marriage is harder than they thought. And he said marriage with her is more work than marriage in general. And she said, if it's so hard with me, then why even try? And that's been my question all along. Why are you still here? Why don't you just leave? If it is that bad, why are you here? I would have been so frustrated with him as well. If you feel like that, if you genuinely feel like that, why are you here? That's why I said I don't think he knows who he is as a person. He doesn't really know what he wants, because somebody that knows, if this was Gil, he wouldn't even be on the retreat. If that's how he felt. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone who knows what they want wouldn't even be playing. He says that it'll be a different circumstance if they are not married. And I guess he means if they don't have the pressure of like being filmed and things like that. And I don't know. I was frustrated with that answer too, because like I said, I don't feel like he really knows what he wants, and he talks in circles, and it just never makes sense when I just feel like he never can give like a complete thought. I was frustrated with his answer, but she just completely, like, I really thought a bug got on her or something. The way what was that? She hopped up and ran. Like, I feel like it should have been cut and they should have gotten sent home. I really do. If you gonna act like that, if you gonna have an outburst like that, I don't want to see it get worse. Like you did. I think she should have been escorted out. I wouldn't even be able to have a conversation with her after that. And they literally had a conversation after that. I couldn't believe it. Mind you, her sentiments, I agree with her sentiments. It's crazy. Like, I agree with how she felt as far as that doesn't make sense and her frustration. But I do not agree with that explosive tantrum. Like, what? That didn't make any sense. That at all. And I wouldn't have sat there and entertained her any further. So then they had a very, 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 very confusing conversation in bed after their little game night. He feels like she gets amnesia when they discuss things. And we actually got to see that in action. So they get into it, and it gets to the point where she tells him to leave. Obviously they rode together, and she was like, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to have to find a way home. She tells him to leave. Then at some point she said, well, you know what? I'll ride with you. Or whatever. And then she calls her sister for a ride. It was so confusing because she really did go back and forth. And he even called her out for saying, you just said that you would ride with me, or that you wouldn't ride with me, or whatever. And she was like, I don't remember saying that. And I was like, okay, I don't blame him. I would have left too, because she was acting very erratic in that moment. Even though she insisted that he left, she said now she doesn't want him to leave because it's late and dark and not safe. And she wanted him to stay, get some rest, and leave in the morning. He is not trying to hear that. He's trying to go. So he packed up his things and he's on his way out. She literally snatched his bag from him and brought it back to the room and slammed the door. And then when he left out of the room, took his stuff to the car, she stood in front of his car door. Another time where I thought that was completely unacceptable behavior, because if a man had done that to a woman, we all know how we would have received that. You can't make someone stay. If they want to leave, that's one thing you cannot do. You cannot hold someone hostage and not let them leave. And I just thought that behavior was completely unacceptable. And I just really felt like this is another time where a producer or somebody probably should have stepped in, because she was completely dead absolutely wrong for that. And I was shocked and flabbergasted. So then she turns to Ryan and kind of like gets rowdy and starts yelling at him and going off on him. And Ryan was over the shenanigans. Like, he was just like, well, I can't make him stay if you don't want to stay. Like, he was like not playing. Ryan was upset because him and Bao were trying to talk him down and trying to get him to stay, and Michaela came out there and completely escalated the situation and made it worse. So when she turned around and flipped out on him, he was kind of really like, it seemed like he was real upset with her. And at that point, that's when Hurricane K, category 5, ain't that the highest category? This is what we've been waiting on, y'all. This is the previews we've been waiting on. She literally was like a hurricane, knocked everything over in sight. Anything that she could put her hands on, she was literally trying to destroy everything in her path. And so when she got to her room, you know, she was being very wild and violent. So I'm guessing that's why the producer was trying to hold her in the bedroom. But when she saw the camera, she did not want to be filmed anymore. And the producer could hardly hold her back. Like, she literally was breaking glass trying to slam that door. And I have to say that every moment of that was very disturbing to watch. It was just, she was completely unhinged. If this is the way she acts on film, I can't imagine how she acts off camera. That was scary. Zach did the right thing by leaving because we don't know what would have happened. I do feel like this is a mental health issue. This is just not a reasonable reaction to the situation. This is not the way an adult should behave. Clearly, if you had a mental breakdown a couple of days ago, you should not be on this trip. And I don't think that that should have been taken lightly. And so I'm not going to do that. I acknowledge all of that. But I still do not think that that excuses her behavior. Because, like I said before, she thinks the Hurricane K nickname is cute. She thinks that's cute. And so I just cannot excuse her behavior. Now, with all that being said, this is the point in time where I am going to do spoilers. If you don't want to hear spoilers, click off right now. This is your opportunity. Hit that X button, okay? Click the next video, sign out of YouTube, do whatever you got to do to click off if you don't want to hear spoilers. I don't want to hear it in the comments if you watch this anyway, because I'm warning you, okay? Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. And now for the explosive news that literally this is the reason why everything got spoiled for me, because I could not get away from this. Everybody on YouTube was spoiling it with their thumbnails. I was so angry. So apparently Bao and Zach are now dating. And it's crazy because ever since I found out, I've been watching the episodes with, you know, with this information. It's like, now that I know these things, I'm looking for hints and body language on like the episodes and things like that. And you cannot tell me, especially on this latest episode, you cannot tell me now that this information is out there that they didn't go back and edit in more of Bao's interactions with them and her reactions and her faces and just how she is with them. I mean, because on the episode, especially when Zach and Michaela were in the hallway fighting and Bao was in the hallway looking like, what's going on here? And then like after they had an argument, Bao literally was wiping away Michaela's tears. Very suspect. So what do I think about this? I feel like there is a reason why this is the first time in Married at First Sight history this has ever happened. The optics of it don't look good, because it kind of reminds me of, you know, what's going on Real Housewives of Atlanta with Portia ending up with somebody else's husband who was featured on the show. Even though they weren't friends, they were in close proximity with each other and in essence co-workers, right? I feel like when you are in close proximity with someone and you met people as a couple, and you spent time with them as a couple, they confided in you, you giving them advice, you hugging them, wiping away tears, it just looks shady that when they break up, you end up dating that person's husband. It's just always going to look shady. It's always going to look like you were gunning for him the whole time, or he was gunning for you. People are always going to be having this speculation, well, were y'all messing around? You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be that. And I feel like there are just so many people in this world that you don't even have to date someone that you've been in close proximity with. Like it's so many, like millions of people on this earth. It's unnecessary, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to do that because it's a bunch of drama. It's messy, right? It's not that I feel away because Michaela or Johnny will feel away. I don't care that their feelings might be hurt by this at all because of the way that they behaved in their relationship. You had to know that they was gonna move on at some point. They weren't gonna stick around for you treating them like that. So that's not it. Personally, I think it's a little bit too soon. I mean, y'all are not even divorced yet. I feel like it's very soon for y'all to be dating. And two, if y'all are gonna date, I just feel like y'all should have kept it low. Y'all should have kept it a secret. Y'all should have not been like taking pictures of each other, with each other. And I don't know, it's just y'all being a little messy about it. You know what I'm saying? Now, am I mad that they are dating or they're going to end up together? That doesn't bother me whatsoever. Y'all are grown. Y'all are adults. Do you? Okay? If you don't care, I don't care. I just hope that Bao understands that Zach is not ready to be married. Like Johnny, he has this perfectionist attitude towards his partners and this ideal woman in his head, and you know, in many ways you're going to be getting the same things that you got with Johnny. No, he might not be verbally abusive, but he's flaky and he runs when there's a problem. So I just don't see that being the best match. I think maybe Bao needs to take time and work on herself. Try to figure out why you accepted that behavior from Johnny in the first place. Like delve deeper into that and see why you would choose to be with someone like Zach. Even though he seems like a nice guy, he has his things he needs to work on too. Please do not comment on the spoilers down below. I will go live and we could talk about the spoilers there, but I don't want you to spoil it for anyone in the comments. Let me know how you feel down below, minus the spoilers. I would love to hear your opinion. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.